Hi, welcome to the Drama-Free Living Podcast with Dennis and Lisa McIntee. And Lisa, we're going to continue discussion today on these ideas of leadership intelligences. And so last podcast, we talked about this pioneering intelligence, this humble intelligence, and it was really fun.
It was fun. And these are the 8 intelligences to increase your joy, to increase your effectiveness while you're working together with a group of people toward a common goal. And this is whether you are working with a nonprofit. This is whether you are working within your job, your company, your team.
And you don't even have to be the senior leader.
And you don't have to be the senior. It could be a smaller team within a group, or you could be anywhere in the hierarchy of a team. It also works with families.
Now, that would be fascinating, right? It has to be a very secure family, but it would be fascinating to walk through it.
Well, I don't know if it necessarily has to be. Whether you're a secure family or not, there are these 8 intelligences and these 24 capabilities that are involved because there's different members. And each member brings their own set of capabilities, their own set of intelligences to the group. And when you can begin to recognize those and begin to call out them and begin to allow the people within the family to function in their peak intelligence and their peak capabilities, and not try to have someone else that it is not their intelligence or not their capability.
No, we have never seen that before.
Then it's so much right. It runs so much more smoothly.
Yeah, and I think it's the idea is that you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And this particular tool fast tracks really your results and really better outcomes. And so what we thought would be fun for us over the next couple of weeks is let's just go through the intelligences. Let's go through the capabilities. And if you'd like to take this particular instrument, we're going to give you notes in the show notes about how to do that. So let's just kind of like knock through it. So the one we want to kind of walk through today, one of them is this, energizing.
Energizing.
Right? This intelligence of
that
energy.
Energizer bunny, they just keep going and going, and they're full of joy, or they're full of energy, they're full of life, and they just brighten everything up.
Yeah, it's almost like they come with batteries included.
They come with batteries included.
Right, and sometimes they have too many batteries. Right, they have extra batteries, and hey, maybe take a couple batteries out.
And sometimes you have to dial that down just a little bit because you're thinking, whoa, okay.
But it really is a powerful intelligence because there are 3 capabilities. It's showing enthusiasm, like building these professional networks and really rallying people to achieve goals.
Those are incredible capabilities.
Yeah, we absolutely need them. And so let's kind of walk through like showing enthusiasm. And these are the kind of people that can bring up the energy in a group. Mm-hmm. It's almost like in the animal kingdom, they're the otters. I've never seen an otter just laying. I've seen a turtle laying around, right? But I've never seen an otter just laying. It's like always active, always moving. And they really show passion for what they're doing. But I think I love this intelligence. Sometimes they have to be very careful that they don't check out if they're not interested, right? If it's something they're not passionate about, they just tend to check out.
Wow.
And I think if you're not careful, you have to realize that there's other intelligences and be just as engaged and interested in other people, maybe than just your own ideas.
Or is that also if there's a particular aspect, say it's a nonprofit, and you have all of this energy and this excitement about a particular facet of it, but maybe the people aspect of it.
Yeah, that's good.
But the fundraising aspect of it is just as important. And we need the people that are these energizers to also be excited about maybe the money side of it rather than just the people impact side.
Well, and here's why this is real important, because when you have energy for something, that means you're going to put effort into it.
Right.
And effort needs to happen in all areas of teamwork. And if you just have energy, say, for example, just the cause and not for maybe the people that are associated with the cause, that really kind of shows up. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes when you're really enthusiastic, you can almost be overly enthusiastic. I'm thinking of a particular, not even a client, just a friend that I have, and he's always enthusiastic. And it's almost like over the top. And it almost just wears me out. And, listen, and I'm enthusiastic, and he wears me out.
And then you begin to wonder, is it genuine?
Wow.
And you don't want people to wonder if you're just putting on airs.
And that's what I love about the instrument, is that it really gives you a reality, because it's a 360 tool where you just don't have this self-perception, but man, you kind of get the picture of like, this is how I show up.
Now, a 360 tool is something that allows you to see full circle all the way around, like you're in your car and you've got the cameras, and you've got the different cameras that you can click on. And when we click on the camera that shows side view, the front view, they're all different cameras. They show different aspects, and it's really hard to have only one of those cameras on our screen at a time, but we can click through them and we can see the whole range of what's going on around our car. And that's pretty much what this is.
Well, and it's not just that, but it's on steroids, because we also take the people that lead you, they do a tool and assessment on your behavior, the people that you lead, other peers and team members, and then these other personal relationships. And it really gives you this entire view of how you really show up. And the reason that we want to use this tool is that so we get a reality check, I think.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
You're right.
And if you don't know that that's how you show up, maybe you don't know what ways you can be involved, or you also don't know what ways that you're overplaying those strengths.
Yeah, very good. And so
it's an opportunity for growth.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once you see it, you can change it. Mm-hmm. And so with this energizing intelligence and showing enthusiasm, another one is building professional networks.
Which is so important in the work environment.
Absolutely. Lisa, a friend of ours who does all of our tax work, I love him for that. He's fantastic. And anytime we need to know somebody,
he's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy that knows the guy.
Yeah. We're talking, at least you ask, well, who does that? I go, let me call him. And he always knows a guy. And we really need these kind of people. And so they have these wide circles of social influence. And I think as your network grows, your net worth grows.
And it is building professional networks, but it doesn't have to always be seen just in the professional arena. It could be, hey, your kids were playing soccer and you've got a soccer team, and you need to know who is the contact person for the availability for the fields when it's raining and you need to go indoors. And so those Energizer people, they're the ones that have got a guy.
Yeah, and it's really more about just building connections. Mm-hmm. And I think the deeper the connection, the deeper the impact. The deeper the connection, the bigger the impact you have on people. And that's why it's so important for leaders to get really good with this energizing intelligence. Because as they continue to build deeper and deeper connections, their influence, their impact.
It's a greater possibility.
Absolutely. And so that's why it's important. But they also have this idea that they're not necessarily using people. They're not trying to manipulate people.
It comes across more genuine.
Yeah. You think about our particular tax person. Even though he has multiple connections and all these, you never feel like you're just a number to him. Mm-hmm. They just have this ability. So building professional networks. And then the other capability is rallying people to achieve goals. And I think they're able to really get people excited about where they're going, the bigger future that they have, what else could be possible. And they almost have this possibility thinking. They can rally around people around new possibilities. They get to help people sort of see this bigger picture and almost what their future could be. And I think it's this idea of like who they can become. Mm-hmm. Because transformation is always more important than transactions. And I think if we help people transform, it's a great leadership capability. So this energizing intelligence, it's important to grow. But that's not the only one we want to talk about today.
No, there's also the deliberate intelligence. And what's interesting about the energizing intelligence and the deliberate intelligence is they're typically opposites. Now, what we talked about before, our last podcast, we talked about pioneering and humble, which were opposites. And if you want to learn more about those, it would be the podcast before this one. This one is energizing and deliberate, and these are typically opposite. Yeah. So when we're talking about you and I am not the energizing one. I am not the showing enthusiasm. I'm not the building professional networks. I'm not the rallying people to achieve goals. That's just not me. That's where you shine in our relationship, in our family, but also in our organization.
Well, and I think when people understand this, you can allow them space to shine.
Yes. And you know who to go to.
Right.
I got a guy.
Hey, you need some energy?
I got it.
You got a guy.
Got a guy. But what's also fascinating is that this energizing capability for you, Dennis, you tend to display this energizing capability more so. It's something that you play strongly in when it's in the personal side.
Right.
As opposed to the professional side. Because the energizing now you do both.
Yep.
You do both, but when you just have a lot more freedom being the fun guy when it's a day off and you can be energizing. Now you pull those strengths into the professional arena and you pull those strengths into building networks because you're amazing at building networks and building relationships with people, and people love you for it. And the opposite of this would be being deliberate.
And what do you mean by deliberate?
Well, deliberate is another intelligence, and this is the deliberate. It's intentional. It's
Got
more.
It. You mean there's like a reason for
There's
for
a
this.
reason behind the reason,
And almost with energizing people, they don't need a reason.
and it's on purpose.
Wow.
And so the deliberate means I am going to this grocery store because it has this item and it has this, and I'm going to do it in this order because it just makes sense.
No, somebody with an energizing intelligence that
You're exhausted already.
right.
You're thinking, what?
No, it's like I went here just because it happened first one I saw.
Felt good.
Felt good, right?
Right. So deliberate. So there are three capabilities with this deliberate intelligence. The three capabilities with the deliberate intelligence are communicating with clarity,
Right.
promoting discipline analysis,
Okay.
and providing a sense of stability.
Lisa McIntee. Lisa McIntee.
Now, but at the same time, I cannot live 100% of the time in this intelligence
Right.
of deliberateness because there are so many more parts of me. If I tried to, if you saw that I am very deliberate and that those were only the things you gave me to do as responsibilities, I would die on the vine and I would wither away because it would drain me because I am multifaceted and I have aspects of all 8 of these intelligences in different levels and these 24 capabilities, and I need to be able to pull on all of them.
Yeah.
But I also need to be aware that this deliberateness cannot be overused because then it's the kryptonite to Superman.
Well, and what I love about the instrument that we use, because a lot of times, Lisa, like we've all taken these quizzes or tests or assessment.
Yeah,
whatever you wanna
which
call them.
color, which animal are you?
Right,
or
which color
whatever
am
it
I?
is.
Right. And the challenge is that it just puts people in a box. And then they start to justify behavior, right? They use it for an excuse for poor behavior, and then they use it to build biases against people. But what this particular instrument does is it takes these 8 intelligences, these 24 capabilities, and it just gives you a score.
Now, I do have to say, I disagree on a little bit because I do think that you can take different instruments and assessments and utilize them, but are you utilizing them for a transactional thing, as in I'm going to this is how I am and this is how I'm going to be and you're not and you need to show up this way? Or am I using it for self-awareness and transformational?
Okay, so I think that's it. Like you hit it right there.
Yeah.
Right? Are you using for transaction or using for transformation? And listen, the reality is you can go through these podcasts that we're recording on the 8 intelligences and you can use them for transactions. Our encouragement is use them to transform your life. You use them to build a roadmap, build a game plan for you so that you become the leader you were created to be.
Well, and you can use them for transactions as well, but not only as a transactional
Awesome
thing.
Deliberate mindset. Give us the 3 capabilities.
Deliberate. Okay. Yeah. Communicating with clarity.
Okay.
Being very specific. Giving the details.
And almost like really concise with language.
Not always.
Okay. Tell me what
Not
you
always,
mean.
Because sometimes there can be so many details and you can get so stuck in the details and this and that and it can be too much.
Almost like you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yes.
Okay.
But communicating with clarity is you are a person that is deliberate is more likely going to give you the information that you need than a person that is energizing.
Is it more that sort of the step-by-step laying out the ideas?
It can be.
Right? Almost like a very logical approach?
It definitely can be.
Yeah.
There is an aspect of that, the communicating with clarity. So if you need something done and you need to know the information, you go to a deliberate person rather than the energizing person on your team. And so when you are project managing, you need to make sure that on your team, you have a deliberate person in there because they're going to want to know. They're going to be the ones that have the clarity, and they're going to be the ones that can communicate with clarity.
And it's almost like if you have a team with a bunch of people that just have energizer intelligence, you're going to have a lot of fun, but you're probably not going to get a lot done.
And if you have a team full of deliberate individuals that are really strong in this intelligence, you are going to have a lot of clarity, and it's probably going to be boring.
Right. You're going to get a lot done, but not a lot of fun.
Not a lot of fun.
Right. And we think you can have both, done and fun.
You don't necessarily want the person leading the meeting to be the deliberate person because it will be ho-hum. What you want is you want the energizing person leading the meeting, and the deliberate person has told the energizing person, this is everything that you're going to communicate because they're going to communicate with clarity. Or,
hey, have you been to one of our team meetings?
Or even better yet, you have the energizing person leading the meeting and keeping the atmosphere up, and then you give the deliberate individual with strong deliberate intelligence little chunks of time to say, okay, here's this or here's that.
Yep, perfect. All
right. And then we can keep the excitement rolling.
Right.
And then the next one is promoting discipline analysis.
And this just sounds boring to me.
So
Lisa.
promoting discipline analysis, I am very high in deliberate intelligence, and promoting discipline and analysis actually sounds boring to me too.
Okay, well, maybe there's some other ideas,
But what it is it's calculating.
Yeah, okay.
It's thorough. It's quality critical thinking.
Is it almost like a curiosity-based critical thinking? I wonder, because that's really you.
It's very fact-based.
Okay.
It's very fact-based. It's the research.
Yep.
It's the if this, then that.
Got it. Is it really thorough?
It's very thorough.
Like almost thought all the way through before we make a decision?
Absolutely. It's very thorough. It's very calculating. The decisions are going to be made intentionally. It's all of those things that you think of when you think of methodical.
Is it and then is the shadow side a little bit that constrained is that you get paralysis by analysis?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can that's when you can go down that rabbit hole of research and digging and finding more information. And in certain fields and in different environments, that is important. I mean, I absolutely want my mechanical engineer or my civil engineer to be able to have someone on the team that is thorough, that has this promoting discipline analysis, that they're thorough, that they are calculating, that they are a critical thinker, because we have to have that.
I love it.
We have to have that. But in other areas, and this is the importance of knowing what your intelligences are, and also the importance of knowing what intelligences you have on your team and what capabilities you have on your team. So you can
kind of pull from that.
Yeah, because you can rally together, and we've all got our strengths and we've all got our weaknesses. And if everybody rallies together with their strengths and recognizes each other's weaknesses in a non-judgmental way, but in we're working together for the common good and the common goal together as a team, then we can do so much more, and we can make this world so much better when we all come together and we celebrate each other's strengths.
Yeah, I love it. And really, that's the joy in the journey.
Absolutely. Okay, so the third capability for deliberate would be providing a sense of stability. This would be the consistency. This would be creating structure, creating rhythms. It's the methodical, but it's the consistency, the stability. It's the continuing, keeping the train not only on the tracks, but running.
And when I think of consistency, it's almost like I can count on that person.
Yes.
The people that have this deliberate intelligence on our team, I know I can always count on them. They might not always be first to jump in or really excitable or run around with their chicken with their head cut off, but man, I can really count on them.
Now, what's very important is if you have a team, it could be your family, it could be the nonprofit, it could be your organization, your corporation. And when you are getting ideas from everyone in the team on things we could do or what we could, the Energizers, they're gonna be giving it out. They have this idea and this idea and that idea, and they may or may not be great ideas, but they will be so full of passion and energy and excitement. You'll want to think
it's a great idea.
You'll want to think it's a great idea, especially if you have one of these pioneering intelligences that we talked about on our last podcast. But what you want to do is you want to give space for those that are deliberate. And they're the ones that aren't necessarily going to speak up until they're sure.
Yep.
They're also the ones that you're going to need to say, okay, Dennis, tell me your thoughts, your idea.
Yeah.
And there will be a hesitation and there will be a pause and you will want to go, okay, well, that's okay if you don't have anything. Sharon, what do you think?
Right.
But that's where you have to stop.
Almost give space.
You have to give space because they already have something going on in their minds and you need to give them space to be able to get it out because highly likely it is going to be stellar.
And I think as leaders, when you have deliberate people on your team and you need them, this deliberate intelligence, you have to prompt it a little bit and ask things like, well, what do you see are some of the obstacles? What are the challenges to this? What are some of the difficulties we're going to face? And get those out on the table because maybe there's so many obstacles that maybe it's not the best idea.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that we have to have all of these different intelligences to really be able to accomplish things. And the people that are the energizers are more likely to discount those that are deliberate.
True.
And the people that are deliberate are more likely to discount those that are energizers and even look down on them because they're not methodical, they're not thorough, they're not calculating, and they don't communicate with clarity. So if you have somebody on your team that absolutely drives you nuts and you're a deliberate individual,
they just might be an energizing intelligence.
And when you take this tool, this assessment, this instrument, and you figure out, oh, that's why Dennis drives me crazy, because he's so energizing and he doesn't have this thoroughness or this clarity or this critical thinking. I get it now. It is not a conflict of individuals. It's just a difference in strengths and intelligences and capabilities.
Well, and Lisa, is it this certainty idea where people that tend to have energizing intelligence, they do a lot better with uncertainty, and many times people that have this deliberate intelligence, they want to make things more certain because
they're thorough,
right?
They're calculating,
and you need both.
You do need both.
I think that's the key. So let's kind of walk through energizing intelligence. It's really about showing enthusiasm, building your professional networks, and rallying people to achieve goals.
Which you are energizing.
Right. So how do you do on that? Like, where do you need to increase? Maybe what do you need to strengthen? What do you need to sort of like pull back on? We just want to you've heard us talk a little bit about it today, but take your own little personal self-assessment.
Absolutely. And with deliberate is communicating with clarity. Deliberate is promoting discipline analysis, which I think a better way to say that would be calculating, thorough, critical thinking, and then also providing a sense of stability, providing consistency, and just creating structure. And so in what ways does that really pull you in? How are you strong in that? And in what ways, who is it in your team or in your group or in your family that drives you nuts because they're the energizer? Because you're so deliberate. The self-awareness is amazing, and it's so helpful because it allows us to have so much more respect and awareness and enlightenment for the other people around us.
Yeah. And so listen, leadership does not happen in a vacuum. It happens within a group of people. And this is why having an instrument or a tool. So if this is something that would serve you and bless you, we're going to put notes in the show notes to how you can get this particular instrument and really get that self-awareness. Lisa, for me, I think the big thing that kind of hits my head is that how important it is to continue to provide certainty for the people around me. Even though at times I don't need a lot of certainty, part of my job as a leader is also to step into a deliberate intelligence and provide sometimes more of a sense of certainty so that people can have the confidence to move forward.
Absolutely. For me, because I am not energizing, that is probably one of my lowest ones. And one of the capabilities of energizing is showing enthusiasm. And so I will sometimes be asked by one of our kids, well, Mom, are you excited about it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited. And because I'm not energizing, but other people need to be able to know, yes, I am completely excited. And so when I'm aware that I am not energizing, I can learn how to communicate to other people with a little bit more passion or energy so they know that it actually does matter to me.
Awesome. So these are two intelligences. There's more to come, and we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.